All right, so I'm going to get started on just filling in the next steps in the argument essay. Remember, this is the essay where they just give you a prompt and nothing else. And so you're forced right away, and Mars did a great job with this, modeling this for us. You're forced right away to come up with your own position, okay? So remember that it's not your opinion. I know some people felt like, I don't really believe this, and they were kind of uncomfortable arguing that position, but you have to just go with like the first thing that comes to your mind, or the first thing that you feel you have evidence for from real life. What's great about this essay, and this is why I had you read the articles of the week, and this is why I kind of want you to pay attention to what's going on in the world. You can use any example, any fact, any current event, any knowledge from even your rhetorical analysis essays, right? Even the Dr. King speech or the Obama speech. You can use anything as your evidence. So that's what makes it hard, though, because you have to go in ready to use those things as evidence. So you have to take a position. It's either yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. The prompt will never say, do you agree? That's too easy. So after the first essay that we're going to write is collaborative with a team, and it's the hardest, I think it's the hardest essay that they've produced, and you'll figure out why, but I want to just start with that one. Yes, you have to back it up by evidence, but it also has to be connected to a universal idea, right? Mm-hmm. And I know, like, you were out the other day, so I want to talk with you about how we came up with 3 universal ideas to back up our position. And then each universal idea kind of has an explanation about how it backs up and why it backs up the position. Then you layer in your examples from real life or history, right? So logic is the reasoning. And if you don't have that plus universal idea, you're not going to do well on the essay. So those are the things you need to get a good score. That's where you earn your points. So I just talked about that. You do make your own claim. You do have to create your own evidence. You don't get evidence. I can't right now because I'm teaching. Yeah, can you give it to Mars and she can deal with it? Thank you. This is also the last thing you're going to do on the exam, right? So this is after, and this is what really is not awesome about this. This is after multiple choice, an hour of multiple choice. This is after 2 45-minute essays. So this is your third 45-minute essay. And a lot of students have lost their steam by now. But we've got to, this is why it's so important to take the mock exam. And so this is the one I want you to feel comfortable with, because we've spent a lot of time around argument in my classes with debate, 10th grade. We did a lot of this, so I really think you're ready. I know you're ready. Again, this is just a metaphor. Reasoning is the heart. The line of reasoning, right, is in the evidence is like the air that keeps the heart going. This is the type of evidence you're looking for. This is your logos, right, that you're building. Statistics. Now, you don't have the statistics in front of you. But one way you can bring in statistics is to say, like, the majority, studies have shown. Now, you don't have the studies in front of you, but to use that phrase, studies have shown, or, statistically, more people believe blank than blank. So you're actually referring, yes, you know that the statistics are out there, but you don't have them really, the numbers. You don't want to give a number because you don't have it in front of you, unless you absolutely have memorized statistics from somewhere, which I don't expect you to do. You don't have to memorize anything for this, but it's in your brain. We'll get back more into what evidence can be, but making analogies, using your knowledge of rhetorical devices as you write. So you're actually practicing rhetorical questions, you're practicing metaphors. When you write in a metaphor, in an argument essay, you're drawing the reader in, right? Questions so far on the evidence? So examples of more evidence. And you have copies, I'm going to give you a copy of this slide deck. But you can refer to what you've known from history in school. Refer to things that you've learned in other classes. You have observations of what's going on culturally, right? Or in the media. I don't know if you're Facebook and Instagram or, but like it depends on what you follow, right? So like I chose to follow things that give me, you know, like the New York Times, the Boston Globe. Try adding that to your feed, because you're going to pick up on more things you can potentially use. Yeah.
Miss, have you read the articles that I sent you last year during Boston Globe? Remember that? When I sent a lot of teachers the news articles, remember that?
Did I read all of them?
No, did you read some?
Do I what?
Did you read some of the Boston Globe like articles?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, of course. Like Nicholas was great at sending articles that, you know, based on current events, right? Although your position is different than mine, your opinion is different than mine, I do appreciate the dialogue of democracy.
Yes.
Of a free society. Books that you've read, right? Even in literature, you can quote, you can talk about a character who's done something, and then your own life experience. That is certainly evidence as well. So evidence needs a what and a why. It needs to be connected. The why is your universal idea, right? So you need to make sure if it's not there, then it's not going to be good. This is really evaluating evidence. This becomes your logic. This becomes your writing. Yes, you have to identify the evidence. Think about your steps in reasoning. Then you explain it. But you always have to go back. This is your line of reasoning. Connect evidence to your position and to your universal idea. Remember from line of reasoning and rhetorical analysis writing, how we would repeat keywords throughout, synonyms of your main universal idea? You're going to do this again, right? The same thing. You're going to examine, this one is implications of that assertion. Does anyone know what an assertion is? To assert something? If I assert something, what am I doing? Cindy, do you know what an assertion is? To assert something? Okay, to be clear and direct and confident about something. Your assertion is your position, backed up by evidence. But you're examining, so what? Remember how the last part of our rhetorical analysis essay was impact on audience? You want to think impact. So what? What is the impact of your position on society, right? I'm going to go back to this slide later. But, and for some of you, this is new. Who's done Boston Debate League? Like, not debate in my classroom, but through Boston Debate League? Anyone? Okay. Yeah, a little, right? Sebastian? Yes, you have your claim. It is debatable, it's not your opinion, etc. Then you have your data. This is called grounds. Grounds, like it's the foundation, the data, the evidence. The warrant is the connector between the evidence, the data, right, and your claim. So warrant is really part of your logic, part of your building, your explaining. Backing is your explanation. So this is just, we're going to start using these terms. I just want to introduce them today. Backing starts with a because. So remember when we were doing the exercise on Monday and I said add a because, add it in order to connect your universal idea to your position. That's the back, it backs it up, right? Rebuttal, to rebut something. This is a term you do need to know because you will see it in your multiple choice as well. They're going to ask you, what is one strong way you can rebut the claim of? And if you don't know what rebut means, then what is rebuttal? Re is to like rewind, to revise, to reflect. What would a rebuttal be? Some may say it's pointing to a counter-argument. You always want to include a counterclaim or rebuttal in your own argument. Why in the world would you address the alternative view in your own argument? Why would you do that? To make it more convincing? Yeah. In a real debate, and we are going to have a very big big debate. In that debate, you're trying to think of what your opponent may say before they say it, so that they don't have an argument, right? You've already addressed it.
So you're like
In your what?
just trying to come to points of views at the same time.
Yep. You always want to be thinking of what your opponent is going to say. Now, when you're writing, you don't have an opponent, so it goes more to Ergina's point. It's showing your reader, your grader, that you are knowledgeable about the issue or the topic. All right? Qualifiers are parts of this rebuttal. Some, many, presumably. Is qualifiers also a math term? No? No?
Yes and no.
Really? I have no idea, but it feels like it may be. So qualifiers, kind of think about a lawyer. To qualify something kind of protects them. If you say many people, you're not saying all. Some people, right? Some studies show. You're kind of protecting yourself by not being like, this is how it exactly is, right? And that builds your ethos, your credibility, because you're not like pretending that you know something that you don't. All right, we're going to go back to that. Before we get into the activity, I do want to show you the argument Padlet. So for people who were late, I do want you to go back to your, you guys, for people who just came in, Zanique and Sebastian, this is kind of the
work for teams.
This is the work, but I took this off of our AP Lang assignment sheet. So I'm trying to include this sheet with everything, okay?
Yes?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I know that Monday is an observance for Dr. King. So if you want to extend this, all the things that say Monday, well, this Monday here, you can extend it. Let's go to here. How many people have been on this site so far? Anyone? All right. You have this link. This is due Monday, so it's right here, okay? 2 people have done it. Sort of. Not really. Okay. Because 3 of these have to be done by Monday. So there are only 2 available right now. After class, I will put up a 3rd. In fact, you know what? Let's everyone, can we go to this right now? I'm going to give you a few minutes to work on this. Let's go to this, and while you're going to this, ask me if you need help finding it. It is on Google Classroom. Oh, this is the one from the previous year. How did that happen? All right. So again, I'm going to Google Classroom, and I'm clicking on this. And there's 2 available for you. Eventually, right, there's going to be more. So are you in this? You guys let me know. Yeah. Okay. This is on Google Classroom. See how it says argument idea generator? You have 3 entries or 3 posts due the 17th, or really the 18th if you don't want to do the 17th. All right, so the first one, Facebook should have a dislike button. So this is actually the claim, I mean the what is it called? The prompt, right? And you have to immediately do what? What's your first step when you see this? Agree or disagree. Do not spend a lot of time on this. Please, I want you to practice, like, the more you can practice efficiency and making things really fast, because you're going to have to train your brain to very quickly come up with a position, agree or disagree, and your 3 universal ideas. The 3 ways you are proving your position. If you spend a lot of time obsessing about that, you're not training your brain. So we have to think of this like muscle memory, like athletes, right? So this is a drill. So why I'm doing this is for you to practice timing and to practice making decisions efficiently. So agree or disagree. So T's I included a model post from last year. T disagreed. What is she disagreeing with? Facebook should have a dislike button. She disagrees about that. That's not something she believes or she's proving. Take a look at this. This is her first universal idea along with backing, along with that little bit of reasoning. Dislike button is a symbolism that represents our freedom to express our emotions, interests, etc. Without it, we would not achieve that right. Yeah, I know, just thinking she made, yeah. Hold on. So that's feedback for T a year later. Hopefully. Why am I changing it? Why did I change it for her? Because she clearly agrees that there should be a dislike button, right? So if it's a symbolism that represents our freedom, that's positive. That's an affirmative, right? Which is how she's proving that. So what is the universal idea here? First way, freedom. Thank you. But then she has, without it, we would not achieve equal rights. It expresses, she continues what she means by freedom. She's backing that statement up with some more words. Are you guys with me if you're on your phones? I can't tell. Dislike button helps us to be more aware of what we're going to post. We need to think of the consequences before we actually take action. There's a couple universal ideas. Remember, they can be in the noun form now, or they could just be referring to a noun, right? Related to. So I see two. One that is a noun and one that I can infer a universal idea from. It is abstract. What do you think it is? Aware? Awareness? Yeah, I would say awareness is the one that is like related to that. It's not a noun. Consequences, yeah. What feedback would you have for T on this? Constructive feedback, anyone? Remember, backing is important. It is up to you to continue your explanation with using language that extends your universal idea. So if consequences and awareness relate to the universal idea, what would you like to just have a little bit more of here? Guys, before you start the work, let's just analyze this, please. I need everybody with me. My feedback for T is that she needs to extend and build out the backing for consequences and awareness. I just need a little bit more information that can back that up, okay? And then finally, the dislike button is feedback that we give to people or we get from people. Sometimes the opinions from people we get from people will help us to improve our products. However, we need to be mindful of the dislike button. We should not abuse it to attack other people. So what is the main universal idea, would you say? What are you thinking is the abstract here?
Feedback.
Yeah, feedback. What does she do at the end that I just talked about? However, what is that called? She does expand, but by doing what? However, yep, counter argument, the rebuttal, right? She's rebutting what her opponent may say. I wanted to show you Elvis's because this is really clear. It's very strong. If Facebook was to have a dislike button, people won't have the same joy in what they post because they will be afraid of being negatively judged by what they post. So he did highlight a universal idea here, and he extends it with a because, so he has the backing. Here, the reaction button is another language used in apps to show feelings, adding the dislike button adds a dismissive attitude to the Facebook app. Facebook should have a more constructive attitude. Again, language is the universal idea, and the backing follows with this ing verb, adding. And then here, what is this called? The claim of Facebook should. What is he making a claim of policy? Why? Yeah, it should. The reaction button plays a big role in what people perceive as belonging. Again, is the universal idea. This is a clue in writing your backing. If this happens, then da 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 da. Okay? So using that if to start your sentence is powerful. All right. The next one that is up right now, I love this quote because it's really powerful. Have you heard this quote before? Toni Morrison writes, "The purpose of white supremacy is to distract." Okay, well, what am I supposed to do with that? You either have to do what? What are you agreeing with? If you choose to agree with this, what's your position if you agree? What do you want to prove? Yep. So are you going to use language that is, remember how I changed T's? Are you going to use language that is, what? Pro, if white supremacy, if you have white supremacists here, or what side are you on if you are going to affirm this? Let me see how else I can say it. What do you think she means by distract? The distraction. Distract from what? Thank you, Mars.
The fact that people use white supremacy as a distraction to say that they're not racist.
Could be one of your, yeah, that could be one point on here. Yeah. This is a little harder because the cognitive demand is a little harder. I want to see what you do with this, but it's harder because A, it's a quote, and B, like, you know, you have to figure out, now Mars would have to come up with two other ways, right, that show how white supremacy is not helpful to a movement of racial equity, right? All right, so this is a little bit harder. So every week we're going to have three more. I want to show you, it doesn't have to be this long. This is from last year, a senior named Carlos, and I don't know why, this is a little annoying because I don't know why I can't make this. Do you know why I can't make this bigger? I don't know. Actually, this is, yeah. It's very small. Why? Am I missing something? No. All right. Well, that's unfortunate. We can't see a little bit more. Sorry about that.
That's so sad.
It is sad to me. I wanted to read this. You can read it. I want you to read it. This is a lot. It doesn't have to be this much, but he does get into like a lot of logic and backing. The subtle racist context we live in 2021 is cause to provoke someone to try to act against it. However, when the system is also based in white supremacy, government agents such as police officers tend to throw people of color in jails, therefore stripping you of your freedom as stated in the 13th Amendment and stripping the national attention away from the racist systems of oppression towards the wrong things black and brown folk are supposedly doing. I mean, a lot, it doesn't have to be that much, but he uses language to build a line of reasoning with stripping and stripping, right? And he kind of starts with like this, it's a little confusing at the beginning, but then he moves into his argument with the however. He's kind of doing the reverse. Like however, I would teach as a counter argument move to say however, he's pulling it back into his argument.
Miss?
Yeah.
This tripping has two meanings in here.
I do know that, yep. But it's also a great verb, right? It's a vivid verb because
Because
It's bringing you into something, it's like pulling something away. It is moving you apart from. If white people never started calling themselves white, this is so interesting. I think this is interesting.
That's just flies.
Then nothing, but listen, then nothing would be based on looking at someone's skin, right? If there's no, I don't know, what do you think of this? As a category, rather than the history of that person. Like, this is so, this is interesting. These are claims. You might disagree with this, but yet still be on the affirmative to this quote, right? We might be arguing the same thing, but his idea is like, oh yeah, I can see that. The idea of whiteness itself is a distraction, a false social hierarchy rooted in greed. Whiteness exists as a social Darwinism to thwart true societal change. Again, doesn't have to be like that, but I find that, I read these and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of that before. When in doubt, go back to Elvis, because his is more concise, right? All right. Questions on this? I'm actually we're just gonna give you time to work on this.
What, by yourself or team?
This is by yourself. This is by yourself, yeah. And 3 of these a week, right? I will also leave you comments, and I expect you to look. This is where I give you feedback. So I expect you to look at my comments and respond if you have a question or something else. We will also be reading each other's arguments and leaving them feedback as well. Each other feedback, okay?